Donald Trump is now in office, and the fascists and fascist enablers and fascist curious are out in force, violating people's constitutional rights, not allowing them to speak, removing them violently from political events, town halls where you're supposed to ask questions, where you're supposed to put your opinion on the record. And this happens to be my home state of Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And there's a cast of characters I want to show you first before we get into this. I'm going to play this full clip. It's a little over 4 minutes. Every single second of it you need to watch, because this isn't just happening in North Idaho where the white nationalists run amok. This is beginning to happen all over the country. And it's going to happen more because people are fired up, and there is an uprising taking place within the citizenry of this country who are telling their elected leaders, no more. Their cast of characters are Sheriff Bob Norris, the Kootenai County Sheriff. This is the other thing. Well, here's your other guy. Ed Bejarana. I don't know this guy. Here's his LinkedIn page. And then Lear Asset Management, which is this private security goon squad that I guess at the sheriff's direction was yanking her out and violently dealing with this woman who's just an activist, just a concerned citizen in the Coeur d'Alene area. Teresa Borrenpohl is her name. So that's the cast of characters. If you want to go back through and you'd like to look at those phone numbers and those email addresses and reach out and let them know what you think, some of this public, some of this private. But here, let me say this on the record. As an Idahoan, as a 6th-generation Idahoan, my children are 7th-generation Idaho. That's a long time. Before it was a state. My kin, they came over with the Mormons on one side of the family, and the other, a different path. Here's what I love about these Idahoan, these fascist fucks from Idaho. And these are my people, Idahoans. Generally, there's this anti-California attitude. Don't Californicate my Idaho, or whatever these hillbilly bumper stickers that you see everywhere. They don't like Californians coming to Idaho because they don't want that liberal idea to take root in Idaho. But when it's these fascist pukes who disregard their oath to the Constitution, they're all over it. Bob Norris, not an Idahoan. He was an LA cop at the LAPD for years, just a fascist jerk-off from day one, from the jump. This Ed Bejarana guy, Bejarana, whatever his name is, also Californian. This Lear Asset Management, also California company. 707 is like a Santa Rosa area code. All of these people are transplants to Idaho. They don't like California. They want to bring their hate and their bigotry and their division and their book bans and their COVID conspiracies to Idaho. That's what they want. So here's this clip of a woman not out of hand. She's not disallowing the speaker to speak. She just called out, said something. And then plainclothes people, the guy in the green hat you're going to see, this is Bob Norris. I'm going to read a little bit from this article from the Coeur d'Alene Post Falls Press, which is the local, very small paper there. And he denies any involvement, doesn't know what's going on, yet he's the guy in the video telling who gets to be removed and who gets to stay. Fascism, a disregard, a violation of constitutional rights. This is illegal. This is an assault. This is also illegal detainment, which is arrest. But if you're a private citizen and you illegally detain someone, it's a real head scratcher. What's another word for that? Is it kidnapping? Watch this. And I hope that it fuels in you a fire of resistance, because this is going to be taking place all over the country. Watch this.
Women are dying.
Ever since the Roe versus Wade, so doctors are protected against having to be forced to do abortions.
All right, hold on one moment here. Okay, again, you folks who are just popping off with stupid remarks, you are not taking into account the people sitting next to you. There's a bunch of people that came here to hear them. There's an opportunity for you to sound off, but not right now. And because you're not smart enough to
be arrested.
So you know, folks, when our nation began, there was some really, really.
You're gonna arrest her?
No, I'm not recognizing you.
What would you like to do?
So yes, we're going to get to him. We're going to get to him. I promise. We'll get
Yes, it is.
plenty of chances.
This is not a negotiation.
But you know, the problem is the folks. Oh, look!
I'm telling you to leave.
Look at that! Oh, he's showing how intelligent he is with all the fine words that he's asking. This was the mission. They came here to disrupt so that the citizens can't hear. The reality is there's a whole bunch of great things that are happening. The problem is we got a bunch of rabble-rousers who just won't allow it to be spoken. So, you know, the thing is, what I'm doing up here is I'm simply over-talking you because your voice is meaningless right now. And we're just taking care of the rabble-rousers. And eventually what's going to happen is everything's going to settle down and we'll get back to hearing the legislators. Because really, you didn't come here to listen to me. I just happen to have a nice loud voice and a big microphone. And I can talk over all of you. And I can just talk for on and on and on. And look at this. This little girl is afraid to leave. She spoke up, and now she doesn't want to suffer the consequences. Isn't that the problem that we're struggling with so many of the kids today? Is they want to behave poorly and then not struggle with the consequences. That is shameful. I think what we've got right now is a situation where these folks are trying to filibuster and shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, they're being successful. So all of you who came here to hear the legislators, I applaud you for sitting there and quietly listening. I promise we will get back to you. In the meantime, we've just got to be a little aggressive with some of these folks here. Look here. Oh, no, I shouldn't be removed. I should be allowed to cry, yell, and scream. I should be able to allow to interrupt.
Let's go.
Don't touch her. This isn't excuse me, Sheriff Norris. This gentleman is assaulting me.
You out
this
now.
Man is assaulting
You out
me.
now. Let's go.
This man is assaulting me. Is this your deputy? Is this your deputy? No, don't fucking touch us. Is he a deputy? These are deputies. Who the fuck are these men?
So how about that? Come on, Musk.
Hey!
It's too bad that we have some 150-year-old Social Security recipients. We know that government has been mismanaging money for decades, and we want to get up there now and
Who the fuck are these guys? Show your badge. Don't touch her. Who the fuck are you?
Cooperate, it'll be 100 times better.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims, you fucking piece of shit. You refuse to identify yourselves. Who are you? Who are you?
To come here today, and I applaud them for doing so. Thank you for coming. But the problem is this. They didn't come here to listen. They came here to interrupt.
So I'm going to link to this article in the description. I would advise that you read it from the Coeur d'Alene Post Falls Press. This is just pointing to the fact that Sheriff Bob Norris is a liar. That he acts as though I don't know who those guys were, but he's directing people to affect this, what could be considered a kidnapping in broad daylight, unnamed, unmarked, plainclothes individuals who are not police, who are not duly elected and appointed through the process of our democracy. No, just goons, just jackbooted fascist fucks violating people's constitutional rights left and right under the watchful gaze of the president. He's not the president. He worships the president of the sheriff. Here's the headline. Update on town hall chaos. Woman who was dragged out speaks. Police chief condemns security. Name of security firm confirmed. The sheriff is not the police chief. The police chief of Coeur d'Alene has disavowed this, has said this is unconstitutional. There are very serious First Amendment issues here. Here's what the sheriff said, though. Though the company that provided security for the event has been identified, town hall organizers and Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris have claimed no knowledge of the security personnel who hired them. So when you were directing people, Bob Norris, to effect the kidnapping, you saw random men standing around you and then ordered them to violate someone's rights? Is that what you're saying here? That's pretty interesting. Coeur d'Alene Police Chief Lee White confirmed Sunday that the men who dragged Teresa Borrenpohl from the meeting worked for the private security firm Lear Asset Management. Reached by phone on Saturday and Sunday, the firm's owner, Hayden resident, Hayden, Idaho, Paul Truitt, declined to comment. Another Californian living in Idaho, but you don't hear them like, we don't want these Californians here. Not if they agree with the fascism and the takeover of the makeup of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. By the way, this is where Aryan Nations was. Hayden Lake, Idaho, is where Aryan Nations used to be, right here in this troubling area. This is very close to where I grew up. As the town hall got underway and legislators made their remarks, Borrenpohl said the audience cheered and jeered at turns. Quote, nobody was telling people cheering to stop cheering, but at any time there was a negative reaction, we were scolded, she said. I felt comfortable expressing displeasure because people were very openly expressing their appreciation for the legislators there. And then did you hear the quote, and we'll play it again here, the quote from the dipshit. He says, look at this. This little girl is afraid to leave, just spoke up, and now she doesn't want to suffer the consequences. Isn't that the problem that we're struggling with? And then he fades out. I don't understand what he says. So many people want to behave poorly and then not struggle with the consequences. That is shameful. Is that what's shameful, you fascist jerk off? Is that what's shameful? How about your adherence or respect for the Constitution as you squelch people's free speech in a public event with state legislators there? And then he says, listen, I promise we'll come back. In the meantime, I know we just got to get a little aggressive with some of these folks here. Carpetbagging douchebags. Fascistizing the state of Idaho. Look, I already know Idaho's politics are very problematic, but it's made worse when these people feel emboldened by the election of Donald Trump and emboldened by they think they're moving into the fascist utopia that it once was when Aryan Nations was but a few miles away from where they were sitting. If you're in Idaho, I'd love to know. If you're in Idaho, share this video. If you're in Idaho, spread the word about this. Share this article, be talking about this. And if you're elsewhere, you should do the same, because this is not isolated to the state of Idaho. This is going to begin happening all over the country as these elected representatives realize the people aren't on their side. And the only way is to silence them. It's to squelch their speech. It's to illegally arrest and detain them. Kidnapping, right? Anyway. What do you think? Comment below. You can call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. I'd love to hear from you. You can also email me daily at dollemore.com. I'm going to go. Don't want this to be too long. Yikes. But I appreciate you very much. Hang tough, Kootenai County. Help is on the way. Be genuine. Take care of one another.